Okay, we are going live now and connecting. I'm really excited about this.
I know, I've been waiting.
Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to our Truth Talks. This is our fourth episode and I'm super excited about the topic we've got today. I've been hosting these interviews throughout the summer holidays, giving a platform for ladies with a mission to share their story and share their voice. And we've had some amazing conversations, and today you are not going to be let down by the conversations, by the topic we're having with my dear guest today. For those of you who may be watching this for the first time, welcome. I'm the host and the organizer. My name is Rumiana Nyati. And my mission is, as a business coach and strategist, to help women in health and well-being to turn their skills and services into business that is working for them for impact and income, to monetize on their skills and expertise by turning it into packaged offers that they can sell with confidence. And as part of my mission is to collaborate and connect with like-minded women, women who are driven by mission, driven for impact, and who are building their own legacy, who are building their own business. And today I have the great pleasure to have Sita joining me for a really important topic. We called it Menopause Without Apology. And it's a real talk for something that is so important. And she's sharing her journey, the journey of a Black woman who's navigated this important time of her life, and she's got so much to share that can benefit not just women but anybody who is interested to understand this, what is it, what it entails to navigate such an important time of a woman's life. So Sita, great pleasure, thank you for joining me today. Please introduce yourself to anyone who's watching us today.
Thank you, Rumi, and what a great introduction. And so I'm Sita Chitambo, also known as the Real Housewife of Stevenage. And
Love that.
I know my passion, my passion is menopause, as you've said. And I just want to spread the word to all women because, women don't have to suffer the way I did. So, and I just want to make everybody aware as much as we can, everybody aware of, the menopause journey. Thank you.
Lovely, amazing. And I know you're really passionate about this. We connected recently, and just in the first conversation, I saw the passion, I saw the dedication that you're working on this topic, you're researching and you're sharing your journey as something that can help others. And thank you so much for what you're doing and that agreeing to come and talk to us today. So I'm gonna dive in straight away. We've got a few questions that I've prepared I want to ask you. Let's start by breaking down the misconceptions. Recently, there's a lot of, a lot of kind of attention on the topic. People are talking about that, but I wanted to hear what has been just your personal story. What's been something that the biggest menopause myth that you discovered that wasn't true on your journey? And if you're looking back now on that time, what's the thing that makes you say, I wish I had known this earlier?
Thanks, Rumi. So, I think for me, I used to think menopause was just hot flashes and night sweats. That's what I'm sure that's what every woman, hears. And that is something that you get through quickly and quietly. But actually, that's not the case. And for me, it was much more than that. It was anxiety, it was poor sleep, it was depression, it was everything you can think about. Now I know what menopause is. I go through the list of the things, the symptoms of menopause, and I tick quite a lot of them. I tick quite a lot of them. Joint pain, fatigue, tiredness. I remember one day we went out, me and my husband, and we were going shopping. All we did was get out of the car and walked a few steps. And I looked at him and I said, I can't. He said, what do you mean you can't? And I said, I feel so exhausted. I felt
Wow.
so exhausted. And I said, we have to go back. So that's how it manifested with me.
Wow. So,
I
I,
didn't know.
no, and what I'm hearing is that, like you say, usually when people hear menopause, it's exactly that, the hot flashes and just
Yeah,
one or two things. But what you're sharing that, there's just so many other symptoms that can affect you in a different way.
yeah,
And not knowing that, not knowing what to expect almost makes you feel like, you don't know what's going through,
no,
with you, with your body,
no,
right?
yeah, no, you're quite right. I wish I had known earlier what menopause was. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had known earlier what it was, but also that it affects your whole body and your mind. I was somebody who never used to understand. I could hear my son say to me, "Oh, I've got so much anxiety," and I used to say to him, "How does it feel to have anxiety? Can you explain it to me?" And you know what, Rumi? When I went through perimenopause, I went back to my son and I said, "I'm really sorry," because
Wow.
I knew at that
Wow.
point. Then I knew what anxiety is. Now I know what depression feels like because
Wow.
I went through it. I went through all of it myself. If
And
I had known, I would have got help sooner, but also maybe I would have looked after myself in a different way, you know.
in what way would you have looked at yourself?
Well, in every way, the my diet, self-care, making
Yeah.
sure that I rest. But at that time, I was working and I had children, I was working, my menopause started. Now I look back and I know that my menopause started in my late 30s.
Wow.
It started in my late 30s.
This is reminds me of what you're just sharing just now, because about a week ago I was really searching and trying to get a bit more information on the topic myself. So I ended up listening to this lady. She's a medical doctor, she's a professor, and she explained very similar experience to you. And you're a medical professional. We didn't
Mhm.
mention that you're a senior nurse. And and I know as a medical professional, you think you
Yeah,
think you know about things, but when it hits you and when it hits you in this different way, that you didn't expect, you didn't know. And this doctor, this professor, actually, she was sharing that apparently there are 70
mhm.
symptoms
Yeah,
associated with menopause, and
yeah,
they're not small. They affect like literally almost every part of your body, from joints to muscle to heart to your mental health, a lot. And what you're just sharing exactly actually reminded me of what she said, and how she herself as a medical doctor went through a similar thing where she didn't know.
yeah.
And because she didn't know, many of us, when we are high functioning, when we're so kind of, we get up and go, we push through things, don't we?
We do. And I think that's the problem with us
Yeah,
women. We think, oh, that's all right, I can do it,
I can handle it. Yeah,
and oh, I feel, when you feel tired, you're like, I can still do it. And we don't take a step back and listen to our bodies. For me, menopause started as palpitations in my late 30s. And the excuse I just used to put on it was, oh, because I used to work nights a lot when I was,
wow.
in
Yeah,
my early years of nursing. And that's what I thought. But actually, that wasn't true. For me, that was the beginning of menopause. And again, who knew that menopause can manifest as palpitations,
yeah,
anxiety,
yeah,
you know, lethargic, feeling tired all the time. Um, and even though some people do not experience symptoms that are, like the way they affected me, or that they're not as they're not as
Severe, maybe.
severe as
Yeah.
I got them. I can tell you now, mine were very severe. But even if you don't, the declining of estrogen in your body as a woman, it affects, as you've said, it affects different parts of your body. It affects your brain, it affects your heart, it affects the way you're built. That's why we start putting on weight in certain areas as women. So you might not have the symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but you can't neglect it just because you don't have symptoms. You have to look after you have to look after yourself. You have to understand that
Mm-hmm.
because the estrogen is declining in your body or it's gone completely in your body,
Yeah.
that can affect you, that can make you susceptible to heart attacks from a women's point of view. It affects your bone density.
Density, yes.
Yeah, so it's not just about symptoms, it's about your physical health as well as
Yeah.
your mental and mental
Yeah.
and physical health.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
simply having
important to
that
understand.
awareness. Yeah, exactly. Having that awareness is not just one or two things. It could manifest in different ways so that you are aware of that and have that kindness or
Mm,
look out for those things and looking for pattern if you see these
mm,
things showing up and have the kindness to not just push through and brush off, but check in with yourself and see, okay, I've noticed this and this keeps
yeah.
happening. Is it worth then to look for help? So, which leads me to my next question is the turning point when things started to shift for you, because every journey has a turning point, like an aha moment, something that kind of you started connecting the dots for you. What was that moment in menopause where you kind of had that aha, things started to change, and
Yeah.
what helped you see things differently?
So I so for me it was a really difficult journey, Rumi, to be honest with you, because I remember when I was going through all of this anxiety, depression, you name it. I went to a work conference, and I thought it was to do with mental health. I went there because I thought, oh, this is a mental health work conference. Let me go there. But when I got there, there was this lady who spoke about menopause. You know,
Wow.
all the symptoms that she talked about. It was something called, I think it was called from boardroom to a mental health unit. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, you
Oh,
know, but she was a
interesting.
very high senior, you know, a nurse at board level, and she was telling her story of how she went from being in a boardroom at 9 o'clock to being admitted into a mental health hospital.
Wow.
And only if she knew that what she was going through, some of it was
Yeah.
menopause.
Yeah. Not to
Her
feel
mental
guilty,
health,
not to feel.
deteriorated to that extent. And she was saying she had only realized that some of it, it was menopause, that she was perimenopause that she was going through. So that's when I joined the dots.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my God, yes, I am. I think by that time, so you can imagine, I started having the symptoms around in my late 30s. And then by that time, I was in my early 40s. And I thought, wow,
Yeah.
this is what I'm going through. I went back and, I cried in front of my manager, in front of my chief nurse. And I cried and I said, I'm going through this. I'm going through menopause. This is what I'm going through, you know. Um, but then I suppose the turning point for me, what made, me feel, what was my turning point, it was when then I went to a gynecologist because I'd been to my GP
Mm-hmm.
for, you know, almost 2, 3 years, explaining the way I was feeling, lack of sleep. Sometimes I could sleep for 2 hours, only 2 hours. That's all I
Wow.
could manage. And my GP, I was put on a lot of things. I was put on antidepressants. I was put on blood pressure tablets. I was put on, and no, my GP wasn't prepared to think that it was menopause. And then I was referred to a gynecologist for a different, you know, health problem. And as
Right.
soon as I walked into that into that clinic, I said to the gynecologist, let's just forget about this. Can I talk to you about
Wow.
menopause?
Wow. Yeah.
And at that point, that's when I felt someone was
Someone's listening.
listening to me, was ready to listen. You know, she listened to me. She took more time than what she was meant to have,
Yeah.
you know, because she understood. She understood it herself. And
Yeah.
she did everything that she needed to do before she prescribed me, you know, the HRT. By the
Yeah.
time I walked out of that clinic, you know, even my step had changed. I felt healed before I even started taking the medication,
Wow.
because I thought, oh my God, you know, I have it. I have the HRT with me.
Wow.
So that was
Oh.
I can tell you, that was the time things for me turned. That was my, oh, why did I go through? You know, by the time I slapped the patch on me,
Mm.
and I know they say it takes ages before, you know, before it works. For me, it was a mere 24 hours. I
Wow.
felt different. Within 24 hours, I was feeling different. I was a different
Different.
person.
Wow. That is just so profound. And again, shows you that there is gaps in the system. And that's why it's so important for you to advocate for yourself so that when you've noticed certain things, when know that there's changes in your body, that's not your usual you
Mm-hmm.
don't wait for someone else to give you the
Yeah.
green light. You pursue that referral or seeing a specialist. So thank you for sharing that. And
Yeah.
then my next question is, so finding strength and support. So you went to see the gynecologist, you had that prescribed for you, but what helped you moving through the challenges? Because this is not a one-off thing. It's not
Mm.
just having the pattern and everything gets fixed. Holistically, what else? How else did you get the help and the support for the journey?
Yeah. So I think the first thing I should mention is that my experience with this gynecologist gave me hope. You know, at that
Right.
point, it gave me hope. And then after that, I suppose I leaned on two things,
Mm-hmm.
which is knowledge. As you've said, you know, there's nothing that goes past me, anything to do with perimenopause, menopause, women's health. So I started trying to get myself understand what is it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what is it. And then also, I suppose the other part was the community. So because now I had a diagnosis, I knew what was happening with me,
I
you
like
know.
that
I
community.
talked about it at work, and it was very interesting. You know, it was interesting having that community of women where you can talk and you're speaking the same language. You're like,
Wow.
oh God, oh yeah, oh, you know, you just need to do this. And I was like, if I had known a long time ago, you know, 2, 3 years ago, that this one is what I was going through,
Mm.
I wouldn't have suffered the way I did.
No,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. So that
I
gave me the
loved what.
confidence, to be honest, to ask for what I needed. I mean, if you go through my blogs, you know, I started asking what I needed. You know, can I have this? I read about this.
Yeah,
Will this work for me?
yeah.
Yeah. And connecting with women, especially the black women, you know, in the NHS. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was really powerful because a lot of women were going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Some of them didn't
On
understand
their
what,
silent journey, but not
and
maybe
I still
speaking a
find
lot.
that even now, I still
Yeah.
find that, you know.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing, sister. I wrote two things here that really kind of, the highlights you mentioned, the knowledge and the community. And you're so right, because we cannot rely on, like I said, on the system itself to work so well that, because there's pressures. We know NHS and GPs, they're under pressure. So we need to equip ourselves. We need to take proactive approach to our health,
Mhm.
physical, mental well-being, and equip ourselves with the knowledge. and like you've been doing your researching and learning and then sharing and teaching others and through your blog. But also the second pillar, the community, that is really vital, because the minute you start sharing and sharing the story and sharing that knowledge, you're building a community of like-minded people that, you can tap into their knowledge, they can tap into
Yeah.
yours, and then you could support each other. And
Mm.
especially from nurse to nurse, I know what it feels to be on the night shifts, on the on calls. You almost live in the hospital. You spend more time in the hospitals with
Mm.
your colleagues. They become your
Mm.
second family.
Mm.
So it's so important to surround yourself with, to have the trust and share things that can lift someone else up, in a difficult moment. And this is so important what you're doing, spreading the word and the knowledge and the research you've been doing, just because someone else right now might be suffering in silence. All those symptoms, like you're mentioning, and guessing what's wrong with me. Why
Mm.
am I not
Mm.
having the energy like I used to have? Why am I,
Mm.
what's this anxiety? I've never had these feelings before,
Mm.
because like all those added symptoms we're sharing now are not the typical ones that, every day you hear every day about menopause. So
Mm.
then my other thought that I'd written here as a question to ask you, the bigger picture about menopause, and meaning, why does it matter to everyone? Why is it not just women's business? Why does it matter for families and partners and colleagues and the whole really society to learn more about menopause? What's your view on that?
So my view on that is menopause is not just a woman's issue. I've recently wrote a blog about why we need men to, to be part of this conversation. It affects everyone. I mean, it affected me and it affected people around me. At
Yeah,
work, it impacts on your confidence. I
yeah,
lost my confidence when I was at work. Career, your leadership at home, it touches relationships, intimacy.
hmm,
I know that because I shied away from being intimate to my husband because of what was going on with my body. People don't understand that the symptoms of menopause can make you feel different wherever you go. You could be at home, you could be at work, you could be wherever you are. You feel it affects you and it affects the
yeah,
people around you. People
yeah.
see you change from being this outgoing person to somebody who is sitting on the sofa day in, day out, not wanting to go out. That was me at some point, you know.
Hmm.
So, like I say, I talk about this at work a lot. And I
Yeah.
always say to women or my women counterparts at work, my colleagues, you need to understand what's going on with your body. It's not just for anyone who's over 40. It's for those,
Hmm.
young people who are in their late 30s, because that's where it starts.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
when you start thinking, what's going on with my body?
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
start looking, yeah, you look after yourself.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's in society, if we silence women at this stage, we lose their wisdom, their leadership, their
Oh,
voice,
love that.
you know. And we do need, that's why I always say menopause is everyone's business. Partners, managers, colleagues, everyone.
Mm. Yeah, just a few days ago, I was in a gathering, a networking gathering for women entrepreneurs, and Sita, this topic came about, and I heard different stories, all stories of struggles, of pain, of very similar difficult journeys, and all of those in silence.
Mm.
Those women haven't spoken about that in a long time. And the question came, why do we speak to teenagers about contraception?
Yeah.
And then it's a big thing even in lady for women, contraception. Why there's a big thing about pregnancy, all education and care.
Mm.
But then when you come to your 40s and you kind of in this early stage of perimenopause and menopause, why there's silence? Why
Silence.
does women have to go through this silently? Why there is no empowerment? Why there's no understanding and inviting men to understand, our
Mm,
children to understand, our
mm.
work colleague to understand that this is not something that is to be ashamed of. It's
Yes.
something to learn about and put the structures and the support networks and frameworks
Mm.
to
But that's
support women.
But that's the thing, isn't it? There is that shyness about it. There is that
Hmm.
stigma
Hmm.
about perimenopause and menopause. But I am living my best life. Now I am in menopause.
I
I
like
look at
that.
myself and I feel like I'm living my best life. And nature just does things in a different way, doesn't it? You know, once you know what you're going through, the problem is if you don't know, if you are in denial that things are changing within your body, I mean, that's where the problem is because
Yeah.
you will suffer. You know, I'm talking about HRT because that's what I chose. But there are
Hmm.
other things
Yeah.
that as women we can do, in order to alleviate the symptoms. Lots of things that we can do: diet, mindfulness, looking at, sleep. You can do a lot of things to look after yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't
Nutrition as well.
know, if you
Yeah.
don't know that that's what you're going through and shift your life pattern to
Yeah.
suit that, then
Yeah.
the journey will be a struggle, just the way I did. Because the truth is, the reason why I struggled is because I didn't know I was going through it.
Yeah.
I thought I was too young. What,
Yeah.
37, 38? It's palpitations. It's because I've been working nights and drinking coffee. Actually, no, that wasn't it. It was perimenopause at that time.
Wow. Wow. And comes back to the previous um two insights of knowledge. When you have the knowledge and then when you seek help, to be surrounded by a community of women or experts who can support you, then things shift. And then you
Yeah,
don't have to suffer for years and years. When you have the
yeah,
knowledge, have the awareness, have the tools and the understanding and the support that you are not alone and there's a better way. And, the way you felt at that gynecologist office, that you got heard, you got listened to, you got understood, and you got help. You had the hope that
mm,
there's a better way. So this is, I think, a biggest takeaway, even for me, hearing you and saying, yes, definitely having the knowledge and having the community, getting help and search for that support.
yeah, yeah,
So thank you so much for sharing this. I think we're coming to our last question is the biggest kind of takeaway, one message that you can share with someone who is probably thinking about this or maybe kind of checking themselves, think, okay, I've been having something that just didn't feel quite right lately. What's your the one kind of sentence message you want to pass on to women? And I know you're on a mission. You can share a little bit more about, you mentioned about your blog. I know you're really diving deep on this topic. So yeah, please share with anyone who's watching more about that.
yeah. And so if I could tell every woman just one thing, it would be, you're not going mad. Because that's the first thing that you think. Is there something wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you're not going mad. You're not alone in this journey because this topic, it's so, whispered. Up
Mm,
until now, it's been whispered. All you heard was whispering. Our parents,
mm,
my aunt, I have lots of aunts. They tell me that, oh no, we didn't. Oh no. All I got maybe was a flicker of a flash. I never went through menopause. So they didn't talk about it.
wow.
They didn't. So for me, at this point in time, is for women to understand that they are not alone. Every single woman
Mm-hmm.
will go through perimenopause, menopause. As long as you were born a woman, you will go through it. The difference is the severity of the
Yeah.
symptoms that you feel, the symptoms. But then remember, there are other diseases that you then become susceptible to because you
because
don't
of
have the right
yeah,
amount of estrogen in your body, because
yes,
estrogen is the driving of all, most of the organs in our bodies.
yes,
So women need to understand that, you're not alone. Speak up, seek help
yeah. No,
before it's
that's
too late.
before because then you're paying the cost of like you said, the denial, or
Yeah,
the cost of brushing it off, or no, I'm too busy, I'll just push through another week, or I'll just keep quiet, probably things will die down, all those excuses. Sometimes we put everybody else first but our health. And here we're talking about physical health, mental health, emotional well-being, everything together, isn't it?
yeah,
And I made a note here that really touched me, that you say, if we don't care after ourselves, after women, everybody's business to understand this and help a woman's journey, could be someone's partner, wife, mother, sister, we're going to lose, you said, wisdom, voice, and leadership.
yeah, yeah.
And I love that.
Mm,
I love that
yeah.
because recently all the conversations I'm hearing, including this very special conversation, is with amazing women who have such a journey to share, such wisdom and
Mm,
professional careers. They've worked so hard. And I've spoken to lawyers, I've spoken to doctors and nurses, and we all, have carried that life wisdom and leadership. And if we suffer in silence, we're going to lose that voice and confidence and leadership if we don't get this
mm, yeah,
support and this managed, because
mm,
it, it's it can be helped. There's ways, like you say, either through HRT or other ways. I know HRT is not the best therapy for everyone, but there is help as long as you look for that knowledge and look for that help.
yeah, yeah. And you know what? I think women just need to understand that they can walk through this stage of life. It's not the end.
Hmm.
It's not the end. If anything, is the beginning. And you can walk through it with strength and with dignity.
I
Be
love that.
proud of, honestly, be proud of this, you know, part of your
Part of your
journey.
life. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
love that.
yeah,
And for those of you who meeting you for first time, I know there was a great interest, and Facebook sometimes plays up with the live. So I'll make sure that this reaches out to people, and I'll share it on my YouTube channel, and hopefully you can share it too. But how else can people stay in touch with you? Because this is a great connection, and I would love more people to stay in touch with you. What's the best way?
um, um, social media.
Hmm.
Sita Chitambo on Facebook, on Instagram, The Real Housewife of Stevenage, and I have a blog, Midlife Real Talk by Sita. So yeah, you can find me anywhere. Just type in my name and
Yeah.
you'll find me.
I love that. Thank you so much for this open and honest conversation. I've really enjoyed it. I've made some notes here because I've had some aha moments myself, and I just felt so warm and you know safe talking on this topic, just with someone who is sharing their journey and sharing insights and lessons. So thank you so much for showing up and sharing this journey, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you. Thanks, Rumi.
Thank you, Sita. Bye
Bye.
bye.